your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
And welcome to the Consumer Quarterback Show. We love to help you win, making you more informed as a consumer and making you more street smart here on the show. Save our hotline number, 727-263-3707. We highly encourage and appreciate call-ins, 727-263-3707. And just because we don't play them on the air, that doesn't mean that they don't matter to us. We really appreciate you supporting our local economy, supporting all of our local area expert contributors. And today we've got a couple of the best on the show today as well. Tom Rydberg, DK Mortgage in the house. We're going to talk about the Federal Reserve pausing DSR loans, hometown heroes, and also a rent versus own analysis for you. And also commercial banks, what's happening with regional banks actually in the commercial real estate space. We're going to dive deep into this $1.5 trillion worth of commercial debt that's up for repayment by the year end 2025. Also, Alex Lima, Black Belt Fitness and Martial Arts. We're going to have a segment here catching up on some of the national news, politics out there, things that are happening in the mainstream corporate media. What stories are they ignoring, and what stories are they exposing more and showing a lot of favoritism to? So before we do, we always like to feature our listings on air. We got a couple of hot listings here that we'd love for you to take a look at, or maybe let somebody know about it. Potentially one of your friends or family members that are looking. We got a hot property here on Burger Road in Lutz, Florida. This one's 3704 Burger Road. We got a mansion for sale here. This is 10,000 square feet, 10 bedrooms, 12 bath, no CDD or HOA. Beautiful property. You've got an indoor pool area with a full bar and an oversized deck. Full tennis court, library, movie theater, sauna, 2 master suites, and a grand balcony. 3704 Burger Road, Lutz, Florida. That's Hillsborough County. Also, another great property in Tampa, Marjorie Avenue. 11332 Marjorie Avenue in Tampa. This is an estate-style home, beautiful property, granite countertops, wood cabinetry, stainless steel appliances, just a large lot as well. And you have beautiful exterior trimmings as well, beautifully landscaped, meticulously landscaped, pavers around the property, a gate, private gate, flagpole, beautiful home. Marjorie Avenue in Tampa. You can see all of our listings online at PlatinumCoastalElite.com. All right, Tom Rydberg, welcome back, sir.
Hey, good to see you.
Likewise. What's new in your world?
Well, the Fed, that they had everyone on pins and needles and finally kind of released their latest policy statement and pausing, which was pretty expected, I think, by the markets. But I think there was a little bit of a sigh of relief that they did, because the markets were kind of in limbo there waiting, and pretty much said, left the door open. I mean, I think most people expect that there will be further hikes in the future, but I guess on a positive side, they're going to take a little bit of a pause and see what some of the future data comes out with and make a decision from there. I thought what was really interesting to me is they mentioned this 2% inflation goal, which, so I'll listen to the Fed speak, but then I'll watch, some of the stock shows and break down Wall Street and how they react to this. Mm-hmm. And I think they've been kind of expecting that they might pull back from that 2% goal and maybe say, hey, you know what, if we can get it down to 3, we're making progress. But he was pretty adamant. He must have said 5 or 6 times 2%. So if you do the math, it's going to take a long time. You're going to need monthly year-over-year inflation to be at like 0.016, not even lower than that, to be 1.6 to get to 2%. And we've only had one number like that in the last 6 months. Yeah. So, anyways, it should be interesting.
Well, yeah, we need common sense leadership too, and that's lacking significantly in DC, and you see too, like our gross domestic product, our GDP has gone, super slow. The economy's slow. Tax revenues are down right now. It seems like almost everything's down. There's a lot of challenges too. To get, I think the trust that people have in what they're being told. From the Labor Department and, a lot of these different, claims of jobs, et cetera. I think that's people have mixed, ideas around that.
Yeah. And you know what? I mean, you and I are pretty in touch with that. I think the average person out there is probably more worried their local economy, their local politicians and just, they're more worried about their electric bill and, how much food is costing them and things like
Right.
that. But, yeah, I mean, I know I've learned over the years to kind of take what politicians tell me with a grain of salt and,
Right. Yeah, exactly. And then, we went through COVID too, where we saw the CDC and, the FDA and a lot of different things happening there. Here's a story I wanted to get to. It talks about more problems with regional banks. Despite some stock market gains this week for regional banks, there could be more pressure ahead because of commercial real estate. And I'm going to pause there because commercial real estate, we noticed a couple of weeks back, the number was 12.9% vacancy, the highest recorded on record, almost 13% vacancy in commercial real estate. And I'm going to continue with the story here. After years of being big lenders to office and retail spaces, the rise of remote working altered values. Now there's nearly $1.5 trillion worth of commercial property debt up for repayment by the year end 2025. That, coupled with as well as high interest rates that are decreasing property values, some lenders like Pacific Western Bank are getting ahead of it by selling $2.6 billion worth of commercial or real estate construction loans to boost liquidity. That's a story I pulled off of LinkedIn.
Yeah, so that's going to be, we've talked in the past, that's a huge problem. And what that article touched upon is not only are the rates going to be higher for these loans that have to be refigured, refinanced, but commercial real estate's different than residential, obviously. So the value of that asset isn't just the structure to rebuild it; it's the value and how much revenue it's bringing in. So if vacancies are down,
right, revenue's
down, the value of that asset has gone down, and that's going to limit, options for a lot of these people that don't have cash to just repay it.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know how that all unfolds, but at least somebody's trying to get out ahead of it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's the tip of the iceberg, though.
Right. I think so. I think you're right. That's going to be that's a prediction where, hey, one bank starts doing it, what happens? The other CEOs, operating officers are like, oh, wow, this bank just sold a ton. We're going to start selling. Then you have this sell-off happening, further exacerbating the problem.
So I'm curious. So obviously you and I focus a lot on residential real estate and mortgages, but do you follow stocks? I mean, and
not individual stocks as much, but yeah, just
so
more,
technically
more
I guess we're in a bull market. We're up 20%.
That's right. Yeah,
I've never seen a bull market that felt so uneasy.
Yeah.
People are like, okay, this just doesn't sound right. It doesn't seem right that tech should be up as much as it is, and that goes back to that AI play, that's the stuff you're hearing about on the news, and these commercial debt that have to be rewritten,
right,
we're not hearing about. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's going to be another. It's always interesting, right? For one reason or another.
Yeah. But meanwhile, Americans are hurting, man. Americans are hurting. People are, they're struggling at the pump, at the fuel stations. I just, I see it. I hear it a lot of times. I think that's the challenge that we're seeing. If you just joined us, we're talking with Tom Rydberg, mortgage expert contributor here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We urge you to shop local, work local here in Tampa Bay. Tom is based out of Tampa Bay. DK Mortgage in when you think about the market where we're at now, yeah, inventory's low, but also the buyer pool's lower than it's ever been.
Yep.
With the rates, Tom.
Yeah, no, a lot of people I think just took a break. They said, you know what, it's too frustrating to go out there, run around all weekend, making offers on properties and not getting anything. They saw that, plus they saw rates, but and just said, you know what, we're done. We're going to wait and see how this plays out. Unfortunately, I think from a value standpoint, we've talked about this, more and more data is showing that that little dip is done with, and we're kind of near the highs in a lot of markets, and speculation is that those prices are going to continue to go up. So it's unfortunate that there's such a disconnect, and I wonder if they're working on something, some type of way to get these bottom end buyers, right? So there's I had a call yesterday from a client. They bought a place 3-4 years ago. They have a 3% interest rate. They want to move. And they probably will move. They'll probably rent that out, but that's not going to be a property that's available for somebody to buy.
Right.
Where if there's a way to kind of allow people to somehow get some credit for that lower rate, they need to come up with something.
Yeah.
because if you get those move-up buyers moving, that's going to create more inventory for the renters that we're always talking about and give them some options. So
yeah, the largest buying pool right now, it's 61 years or older.
Really?
They're the ones that actually have money. They're making moves. They're at a point where they say, hey, look, I've got equity here. I don't really care what the rates are. I got to make this move because I need to downsize or whatever it might be. So I think that's an interesting takeaway from one of our masterminds we had at Keller Williams just last week.
Is that local? Is that more Florida? I
think that's national numbers. National? Yeah, national
I have
numbers.
2 files in process right now. $600,000 purchases. They're putting $500,000 down. So that's not helping me that much, $100,000. But it goes to your point where those clients don't care that they might be giving up a low rate or what the rate might be now because they're financing such a small proportion of it.
Yeah,
they're benefiting in a lot of ways because there's less people out there looking.
Yeah, and in that situation too, I've never really understood that. If you have the opportunity to put $500,000 down on a $600,000 purchase, in my mind, I would leverage a little bit more of other people's money. I would stay a little bit more liquid, but who knows? Maybe that person has another $1.5 million in this account, another $3 million there. But if it's not that case, then I would look at it like, hey, let's maybe buy some gold, buy some silver, maybe some platinum, start spreading out, the monies in those situations. But yeah, it's interesting. 61 years old. That is the buying class right now and up. The other point I wanted to touch on is institutional buyers, because you mentioned, this person that's going to rent that home out. Institutional buyers are doing the same thing. Did you know that it's projected that 40% of all home purchases in the United States by the year 2030 will be from your BlackRocks, your Vanguards, your large institutional buyers? And to me, that's just un-American. We've got to put a stop to it. We've got to figure out a way to make it more veteran loans, first-time home buyers, people that actually need to move up and move down, not just these large institutional investors looking for that passive income.
So, and again, we talk about government, and you have a lot more control and input on local government. So is that something local governments can get involved and make requirements? Or I know, again, I've had rental properties where you have to get licensed, and could they put in some type of restrictions to who can they give those licenses to? I don't know.
That's a good point. I mean, we have to. I mean, the state of Florida probably is working on that, I would think, because
they're more ahead of the. Yeah, they're definitely ahead of the game on that compared to other parts of the country.
We had Representative Bernie Jocks on. I think we've talked about that before with him, and I think they are working on something, I believe. Tom Rydberg here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes. Tom is our mortgage expert contributor. DK Mortgage here in Tampa Bay. Shop local, work local. Don't work with the big banks. Work local here. Support the good guys. It's in short, support the good guys here. ConsumerQB.com, online at ConsumerQB.com. We're going to take a quick break and come back and talk a little bit about, I want to talk about Google. You got the EU clamping down on Google here. Interesting story about some of the violating of antitrust laws that they're being charged with. Interesting, because Google is such a behemoth. We're going to discuss that also and more on the real estate and mortgage side with Tom Rydberg, DK Mortgage, here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Hey, follow us online. We'd love to connect with you at Brandon Rhymes 1, at Brandon Rhymes PA, at CQB Show. And don't forget, we've got a contest going on right now to win some Rays tickets. Mike Murphy Auto Group offered up 2 more VIP Rays tickets. So visit our social media sites and check that out. All you have to do is like it and share it, and you'll be entered to win. All right, we'll be right back. Consumer Quarterback Show, ConsumerQB.com.
And offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at ConsumerQB.com.
Hey, we appreciate you spending some time with us here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. More with Tom Rydberg coming up in just a moment. Before we do, a couple of hot listings here. We like to feature our real estate properties. This is a way and a strategy that we employ like no other does. No other real estate company does this that I'm aware of. We feature our listings live on air as a strategy to help sellers sell faster for more money, getting more exposure than any other real estate company can. We're on 80 outlets worldwide: Apple TV, Roku, Google, of course, Salem Media, Cox Media Group, 1025 The Bone, many, many different places. So we got commercial property here at 7202 US Highway 301 South Riverview, Florida. Beautiful property in Hillsborough. Great opportunity here. What you've got is a commercial building, two different buildings here, different businesses. You got a mechanic shop, muffler shop here that's currently rented out. You also have a barber shop, an office building that's operating currently as a barber shop. Could be an attorney, could be a real estate office, insurance office, any type of professional office. 7202 US Highway 301 South in Riverview, corner lot location, commercial property, and it's a great opportunity to own real estate here in Tampa Bay. We've got motivated owners. That one's right around $750,000 or $799,000. So if you're looking for commercial property, we can help you with vacant land, commercial, or residential searches, and we've got a team of 15 agents that can help you with that. So we'd love to help you buying, selling, or investing in real estate. Also, 15900 Oakcrest Circle in Brooksville. This is another single-family home residential listing from the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. Oakcrest Circle in Brooksville. This is a great home. 4 bedrooms, 2-bath, 3-car garage. You got a generous-sized living area, large rooms as well, new water heater. What I like also is he's got a generator that is wired into the electric panel. It's a propane generator, really cool, great backup system. 15900 Oakcrest Circle, Brooksville, Florida. And you can see all of our real estate listings, PlatinumCoastalElite.com. This is God's country. All right, Tom Rydberg in the house. Talk about real estate, mortgage, and finance. And we get into a little tech stuff, too. This was an interesting story that we looked at. European Union regulators went after Google Wednesday, charging the tech giant with violating antitrust laws, accused of abusing its power in online advertising due to undercut rivals. 4th time in recent years. It goes on to say it's been charged with violating the trust laws. It also so their profit last year was $60 billion in profit, Alphabet. Yeah. And then if you go down and you look here, it says Justice Department also accused the search engine, U.S. Justice Department, that is, accused the search engine of abusing its power online. And you know what I find interesting, too, is just about probably 6 months ago, roughly, the Texas Attorney General, Ken Paxton, filed suit against Google as well. So that, man, there's a lot going on in that big tech space. Yeah, for sure. And they said this is the 4th time. What happened to 3 strikes and you're out. But I think that there's so much money that they'll just tie this stuff up in the courts and appeal, and they'll pay the fines down the road. But it's crazy, these numbers. Yeah. So, and that doesn't surprise me at all. It's if you we always talk about government overstretching, but then you always have if you let big business kind of run without regulation, then you have the other side. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, it eliminates. So hard to get that balance. Well, free markets, right? You're reducing free markets, and it should be hard hitting politicians that say, look, this is think about the character of a man back when Washington, John Adams, all these different guys, right? That were the founders of our country. Think about their character. I mean, these were men that read the Bible every day. I mean, they're dedicated. And then you fast forward to today's people, right? Yep. In a lot of ways. Now, not to say that there's not some true character, great, driven people. Sure. But generally speaking, compare the characters of some of those men to some of the politicians we have today. Yeah, yeah. And it's here in America or overseas. For me, I'll still remember the day Clinton got on TV and he pointed his finger at everyone and said, I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Ms. Lewinsky. Yeah. And that was... Yep. I went downhill from there. And I remember one of the podcasts I was listening to as well before, like back then, it was a big deal if you got caught committing adultery. Right. If you were cheating on your wife, whatever it might have been, oh man, you're there goes your whole campaign. Right. Nowadays, it's accepted. It's more of all these different loose morals and values. That's a great point. I just think lying too, like just being deceptive. Yes. Like that's the core value, right? Just tell the truth. Yeah. And it's misrepresentations as well, and it's omissions, lying by omission too. All right, so we got Tom Rydberg here. I want to get back to our rent versus own analysis and other ways that you can help people in the last 3 minutes that we have, Tom. Yeah. So rent versus own analysis. Also, you want to talk about investor loans. Yeah, I'm going to do a little bit of spin. We always talk about rent versus own, and you have that little bit of a pause period where it takes you to kind of recoup some of the upfront cost of a home purchase. But listen, if you want to be in the Tampa area, get into a house. You after those initial couple of years, you're way ahead of the game long term. Right. But DSR loans, so debt service, you have a lot of professional investors that, and they don't have to, I shouldn't say they have to be professional, but
they can't qualify from traditional means for lots of reasons from an income standpoint.
Right.
Where these investors we have, lenders, it's a portfolio product, they look at the cash flow of the property. So they'll take the market rents based on the appraisal, okay? So if it's an Airbnb, that they're looking at more of annual rentals, and if that covers the cost of the loan, taxes, insurance, and any HOAs, your DSR is 1. Anything above 1, they'll accept. And we actually have a few outlets for properties that don't even cash flow. You need more of a down payment, more skin in the game, but there's a lot of options, and that's really become more popular. There are prepayment penalties on some of those products, so you have to kind of do the math. But I was talking to a young investor who's paying hard money, like 13.5% and 3 points through an individual.
Wow.
And the numbers still work for him because he's flipping the properties.
Right.
But we can get him into a DSR loan at a much lower rate, less closing costs, and it's really opening up a lot of opportunities for him. So
yeah, I love that. 727-263-3707. Call or text the hotline. We'll put you right in touch with Tom. 727-263-3707. We've got rent versus own analysis that he can do for you. Break down the rents that you're paying versus what you could own. DSR loans, we're calling it. Basically comes down to the debt service ratios. Hometown Heroes, about 30 seconds, 45 seconds. Back to you.
Glad you mentioned that. That's huge news. So love the Hometown Heroes program. State of Florida and their housing division do an amazing job of just making changes when necessary to these programs. They have more funding for it. So you used to have to fall into a specific category of employment, teacher, civil servant, medical field, whatever. They've done away with that. So any occupation, if you're full-time, you're working consistently at least 35 hours a week, you're eligible. There's other restrictions that go along with that, but that's going to open up a lot of opportunities for those renters we talked about.
Close faster at Gmail?
You bet.
Close faster at Gmail, y'all. Support the local economy, supporting Tom Rydberg, DK Mortgage. Tom, thanks for coming in, man.
Awesome. Good
stuff. Coming up, Alex Lima, Black Belt Fitness and Martial Arts. We're going to talk self-defense. There's also this new push to change this pistol brace law, this new law that just came out. There's a push. I got a clip I'm going to play on that. Alex Lima, Black Belt Fitness. We'll be right back. Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. Please make sure to send him all of your real estate deals and subscribe to the Consumer Quarterback Show podcast on iTunes and Spotify, or check out our YouTube channel. Have a blessed day.